Texas Governor Greg Abbott issuing an executive order that mandates public hospitals in the state gather data on patients' immigration status so the state can track how much money is being spent on illegal migrants' medical treatment and send the bill to the Biden administration. So here's what Abbott says, quote, Texas will hold the Biden-Harris administration accountable for the consequences of their open border policies, and we will fight to ensure that they pay back Texas for their costly and dangerous policies. Several states, including California, Colorado, New York, Illinois, Washington, D.C., all have some form of migrant health care program in place. I want to bring in Maryland Congressman Andy Harris. He's a member of the House Appropriations Committee and the GOP Doctors Caucus. He was previously a physician at Johns Hopkins Hospital. Congressman, good morning.
Good morning, Cheryl.
So put on your physician's hat here for just a moment, because many states, if somebody walks into an ER, even if they don't have the ability to pay, they get the treatment. That includes migrants.
That's absolutely right. So let's say you're a pregnant migrant and you're going to go for delivery. If you come into the emergency room in labor, they have to take you, they have to deliver you, and that's thousands and thousands of dollars in cost that Texas taxpayers would have to eat, because the bottom line is you have to take care, under federal law, you have to take care of emergency patients.
Yeah, no, true story. One of my best friends went to her hospital to deliver her daughter and was turned away because the maternity ward was full of migrants. That was in Phoenix. This happens everywhere. So let's move on to this. Vice President Harris flip-flopping on the issue of the border. She was in Arizona, speaking of Arizona. She called for strong border security. She says, she's a former attorney general of a border state. She was talking about California. But remember, in 2017, she put out that statement declaring that an undocumented immigrant is not a criminal. And then she seems to have been flipping on voter ID as well, because the campaign had all the people that attended that rally in Arizona, they had to present their ID. But then she slams Republican voter ID laws as being racist. Watch this.
Is agreeing to voter ID one of those compromises that you'd support?
I don't think that we should underestimate what that could mean. Because in some people's mind, that means, well, you're going to have to Xerox or photocopy your ID to send it in to prove you are who you are. Well, there are a whole lot of people, especially people who live in rural communities, who don't. There's no Kinko's, there's no Office Max near them.
Well, just with the voter ID specifically, how big of a concern do you think that is for this election? I mean, you needed an ID to get into a rally in Arizona. Should we check IDs for voting?
Look, I think you should. The bottom line is we have 10 to 13 million illegal immigrants here. One has to believe that in some states that they are going to be allowed to register to vote, that they won't be watching those voter rolls very carefully. And the hypocrisy is absolutely stunning. I guess she wants to keep illegal immigrants out of her rallies. But the bottom line is the border's wide open, and voter ID, it's time that we consider voter ID for federal elections.
Yeah, no, we've seen that push happen right here in New York. As you've got, with all the migrants that we've taken on in this city, that there's this push to get them to vote. It's, being fought out in court, to be clear here. But I want to bring in Tricia McLaughlin. She's on set with me.
Hi, Congressman. Thank you so much for joining. I wanted to bring up the piece on really the budget, right? What can Congress do right now to, ensure that American taxpayer dollars are not paying for, whether it be infrastructure, housing, whatever, hotels, flights, whatever it might be? What can we do before the next election to ensure this isn't happening?
Well, the most important thing would be to close the border. Clearly, it's not closed. The president's new policy still would allow 1 million people to cross the border illegally. And Kamala Harris was in charge of the border. We have to remember, she was the border czar. She's the reason why we are spending tens and tens of billions of dollars, just like you say, on expensive housing, on flying people around the country, individual states, on educating those children in their public schools. The cost is enormous.
Yeah, well, we've certainly seen her change her tune on several major issues. We have yet to hear what she's going to say about immigration, but I'm expecting that's going to probably change, too, based on her past history. But, she's being slammed now for copying an idea that was first floated by President Trump, and that's to stop taxing tips. This is Nevada.
When I get to office, we are going to not charge taxes on tips.
When I am president, we will continue our fight for working families of America and eliminate taxes on tips for service and hospitality workers.
So she's even copying herself. She gives the same speech basically in Michigan and Wisconsin. If you look at the side-by-sides, different states, I'm going to play this for you, different states, but listen to her words.
It really is good to be back in Wisconsin. It is so good to be back in Michigan. Listen, let me tell you, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. And listen, I am clear. The path to the White House runs right through this state. Tim has an incredible record as governor of the great state of Minnesota. And as you just heard, he has an incredible record as governor of the great state of Minnesota. And to his former high school football players, he was coach. And to his former high school football players, he was coach. I took on perpetrators of all kinds. I took on perpetrators of all kinds and had a summer job at McDonald's.
Okay, so to be clear, I mean, I can tell she's going back and forth on the prompter. But at the same time, is this normal in campaigning and politics to just give the same speech over and over, word for word? Or do you try to change it for the audience?
You absolutely try to change it for the audience. But look, you're seeing exactly why she's not going to agree to 3 debates with Donald Trump, because you don't have a teleprompter during a debate. She is just a poor candidate, and she is going to try to use the basement strategy for the next few months, just like Joe Biden did, to stay out of the public eye, because honestly, it's embarrassing when she speaks off teleprompter. And look, with regards to what she's saying at these rallies, you're right, she's changing her tune. With regards to the tips, tax on tips, the Democrats had an opportunity 3 years ago when they wrote the last tax bill. They could have done that. They didn't. The bottom line is that's Mr. Trump's idea. She knows it's very, very popular. I've talked with waitresses all around the state and my district. They're excited about this.
Well, real quick for your run, another thing that she brought up is about the Fed. You know, Donald Trump has talked about having more executive power with the Federal Reserve. She's going the opposite way. Where do you land on that?
Look, we do have to re-examine the actions of the Federal Reserve over the last decade. I think it has led to inflation, and I think we need a review of it. I think that it's about time.
All right, Congressman Andy Harris. Congressman, thank you for being here.
Thank you.